Yo, what is up? Welcome back to another video. Now, with new updates, there are new familiars, and we have two new familiars with update 5. So without further ado, let's just get straight into this video and checking out the first familiar. First familiar that we'll be checking out is Babidi. I think the model's pretty cool, but it is a bit weird that he is T-posing. Not much to kind of talk about. He is just a familiar. So let's go ahead and check his passives out. His first passive is Manipulating Evil. All kills by this unit count as one kill for any on-kill effects. This does not apply to anything with meters. This can either roll between 0 and 2 kills. Now, second passive, the Last Wizard. This can either be Cosmic, Blast, or Holy damage and can roll between 2 and 5% damage. Babidi's passive looks pretty good. This helps units like Boo Evil and Yamamoto being able to get more summons out because it applies additional kills on kill effects. Aside from Babidi being great with summoning passives, Babidi is the perfect familiar for Boo himself. This is because Babidi can increase the amount of candy Boo can get from the Ultimate Evil passive and also the Innocent Lost passive when Boo is in his first form. This allows Boo to be able to transform faster due to needing to kill less units to get enough candies to transform. Now, the one thing that makes Babidi the perfect familiar for Boo is once Boo becomes Boohan, his final transformation, you gain the new passive Egg Stomper. Now, what this does is when a candy enemy is defeated by this unit, the enemy explodes, dealing 50% of this unit's damage in a small AoE. Now, the on-kill effect passive from Babidi actually applies to this, meaning that you could potentially getting 2, 3, or 4 explosions per enemy killed by Boohan. This is what makes this familiar the most broken familiar in the game when paired with Boo. And that pretty much is Babidi. I think he's a great familiar and he has a lot of potential going into the future if new units come out with on-kill effects. Alright, the next familiar that we'll be looking at is Pupper. Now, I do not know why the model is backwards. Maybe it's just because of Gogeta. You might be able to tell what is already happening right here with the crit chance. But let's go ahead and check out this familiar's passives. His main passive, Man's Best Friend, increases crit rate by 3.1% and crit damage by 9.1%. This buff is doubled for Dragon Sphere units. Now, the crit rate can either roll between 1 and 5%, and the crit damage can roll between 2.5 and 10% damage. Its second passive, A Good Boy. This can either roll between Nature, Blast, or Holy element and can roll between 2 and 5% damage. This familiar is very good. I would say this beats out Turbo Granny for being a crit based familiar. It does have less crit rate than Turbo Granny, but this actually gives the unit crit damage basically. Turbo Granny's crit damage that you gained from that was very little and it was not really a thing. The other part of this passive that is great is this is buffed for Dragon Sphere unit. Essentially any unit that is from the Dragon Ball universe. All of the new units that I don't think is Vegito has something related to crit in them, so this is a perfect familiar to chuck on basically Gohan, Hercule, even Boo has a buff to crits. There's nothing really to showcase when it comes to this just being crit rate, so yeah, this is the Pupper familiar. I think he's a very strong familiar, especially for Dragon Ball units. Essentially at max you can get 10% increased crit rate and 20% increased crit damage, and then on top of that with a new corruptions, this can go to 15% crit rate and 30% crit damage. Potential for this familiar can go wild. I forgot to mention this with Babidi, but both of these familiars are obtained from Legend Act 3 of the new Dragon Ball stage. I forgot what it's called, but I'm going to put an image up on screen. But yeah, I appreciate it if you have watched this far through the video. See ya.